the introduction to software testing. So, and just to gauge the people that we have, so on the rate of 1 to 5 or 0 to 5. So let me know if you already know anything about automation testing. 0 means I don't know anything about software testing in particular. And 1 means I know a bit about manual testing, but I don't know anything about automation. So it's 0 to 5. 5 means you are expert. To be honest, you don't need to be here unless you're one of the mentors. So yeah, if you can let me know. So 1 means yeah, I know a bit of manual testing. I don't know anything about automation. 0 means I don't know anything about software testing. The law of zeros. Okay. So okay. And a few ones. So I'm expecting to see some twos as well. So for those guys that thank you so much. Yeah, I was expecting to see the twos. And yeah, so I don't expect to see 5. To be honest, if you are 5, then you need to be at my side actually doing this together. So, but that's okay. If I can see 5, that also is fine. That means I've got some of my mentors or tutors there as well. So thank you. Okay. All right, thank you. There's some 3 as well. Okay, 0s, 1. That's good. So thank you, everybody. So I think you're in the right place. If you are 0, this is the right place to be, actually. So one thing this class is known for is even if you don't know anything about IT, actually, maybe that's on that 000 level. So you're in the right place. So we are going to take you on a baby step, right, to actually show you what is software testing. From there, what is automation testing, right? So one thing I believe is like everybody can do software testing, and we are doing software testing. So for a start, let's say most of us will have an IT application. Even the fact that you are on this particular platform means that you are already using an application right now, which is Zoom. So you will have known how it works. So someone actually tested it, somebody developed it, someone actually write requirement for it. So now most of us know how Zoom works. If it doesn't work, you will not to kind of shout it out to say it's not working. And we've seen several places where you would actually complain about an application not working. So the role of a software tester is to ensure that the application meets what the user wants. So if you know what you need in Zoom and it's not working, and you're able to establish that it's not working, that means you can actually do the job of a software tester because someone didn't actually test it properly. So that is the work of a software tester. And I can also tell you, right, the first thing that you do as a person, as a living person, is testing, right? So why did I say so? When you wake up in the morning, right, the first thing that you do is testing, right? Because consciously or unconsciously, you open your eyes, right? Your eyes will test that I can see, right? So let's assume that you open your eyes, you couldn't see anything, right? What should you do? You will try to open it again, right? And say, yeah, that is what we test, we call it retesting, because you've seen that this is not right. I should be able to see this properly, but I can't see. So you will try to do it again, right? Or you try to raise your hand, you couldn't move it. You try it again. That's another retesting, basically. And when you find out, yeah, this is not working, what do? You either call 999, or you call your partner, or you call your wife, or you call your husband, you call your friends, you call your sister. Things is not working there. You raise alarm. In software testing, that's what we call bug. You raise a bug, right? And then what happens? Someone will come in and they say, can you raise your hand properly? Or this one, that is kind of trying to debug what the situation is, what the problem is, trying to open your eyes again. That's what you try to debug the situation, right? You try to say, oh, can we try to recreate it? So let's assume that you raise an alarm, they come in there, and then you found out, yeah, you are able to raise your hand, or you're able to open your eyes, everything is fine. And they look, okay, what is happening? It seems like it's a false alarm. So that also happens in software testing. when you raise a bug and then developer fixes and say, oh, it's not a bug, this is how it works, and then eventually it's not a bug. So in real life situation, you call that a false alarm. So it's going to be an interesting journey for us, actually. And this is just a brief overview. I've told you that one way or the other, you will have done software testing or you will have done testing, right? Or whether testing of different applications or testing of not application right now or scenarios. And one thing I also know, most of us, we also have we have phones, we have different devices that we've used. Let's assume you decide to buy an iPhone. Let's say you decide to go with the iPhone 11, right? So, and you order the iPhone 11, and then when it arrives, the first thing that you do is testing, right? Because you bring the phone out, right? And you look at the phone, right? Unconsciously, you know that you ordered iPhone 11 and they deliver iPhone 11 to you. Let's assume you don't even know what iPhone 11 looks like, but you would have to go and Google it out and see, right? So that you are not sent a Samsung phone or Nokia 3310 phone. You would know what you are looking for. And once you're able to get it, now, okay, iPhone 11, check. That's you done software testing. And in time, some of this testing is what we call user acceptance testing, right? Because you as a user, you're actually testing that what you've ordered for, which are iPhone 11, what you got is an iPhone 11. That is checked. You have the requirements. You know how iPhone 11 should look like. And based on that, you've kind of checked it and say, yeah, brilliant. And then you open it, right? The next thing you open it, what you are looking for is like, how does it work? And maybe you saw an application for a camera in there. You know that when you take you take a snap or your selfie, you should see your picture, and that requirement is right there in your head, right? So you brought the phone out, you took your first selfie, and then what happened? You see the selfie, and you can say, yeah, that's myself, and I look good, I look brilliant, it's beautiful. But let's assume you did the selfie and there's no picture, or the image that you saw there is not your image, right? What happens? You now look at that, oh, this is not working properly. So, and what you do, you call the phone company, you tell them the phone is not working, please, I need to turn it back. That means instantly you've actually found a bug and you are reporting it to who you bought the phone from. The work of a tester is no more than that. It's basically confirming the application works and also meets the requirement of the user. But the way we do it is what is different, right? So that's what you need to learn. Yeah. Because you are going to be doing that as a professional, there will be some documentation that you need to do. You won't just be doing the ad hoc way that I've just described to you. There will be tools that you have to use. There will be reporting line that you have to provide. There will be different things or processes and procedures that you have to follow. So those are the things that you will be learning along the line in this particular course, both from the manual testing course and in this one, which is the automation testing. So, okay, if you have any question, please do type it. I'll come back. I will be checking this particular chart anytime. So if any particular thing is not clear, sometimes it would be good to just type it quickly so that I can address it. Don't wait to the end to ask your question. So I think that's just the introduction about software testing, how it is in a layman language, actually. So, and we're going to continue from there if there's any question. All right, so this is me. My name is Deji Emmanuel Ognaja. I'm an MVP, which is not most valuable player, actually. So it's basically Microsoft's most valuable professional. So I've also got executive MBA, and also I'm also a tester as well by professional. I've got ISTQB as well as SF testing professional. So, and yeah, I think I will just keep the rest anyway. So yeah, if you want to follow me, you can go to my LinkedIn, just search for Deji Ogunaja, and you'll be able to see me in there. So the training is divided into different phases, actually. So you're going to have online training as we are having today. So there will be extra classes for manual testing so that you can catch up quickly. We do advise people to go for certification. For this particular class is going to be ISTQB, that is going to be advisable for you to have. Then also there will be internship for those people that want to do the internship. It's a practical experience where you lay your hands upon the tools and you'll be put into a group and also given real life projects to work with different teams as well. So you also have exposure to workshops, actually. So this workshop we normally do physically. So more often we're going to be doing this workshop remotely, and most of these videos are also uploaded to YouTube, so you can actually get access to them. So certification. So in terms of certification, I say ISTQB is one that we advise you to take. There are other exams as well. So like Agile exam. So for those guys that are going to be going to the internship, we'll let you know. If you are going to go for the ICEP is 122 questions, the pass mark is 26 out of the 40 questions. So we'll let you know anyway. So and let's go. And if you also want to go ahead to do the advanced level test analyst, so there's some curriculums that you have to follow. Some of them would also cover during the course of this particular testing course, but that will be focused on the manual testing side, so the automation will be more practical. So now on the content of the automation testing, so this is divided into 10 sections. So, and in the first two sections, you're going to have Selenium and SpecFlow introduction. So like most of you know, we are going to be doing C# with SpecFlow in this particular training. So we're going to look into what is TDD, and as well as what is BDD, how do you write your Gherkin, how do you set up your SpecFlow with Selenium, with Visual Studio, what is SpecFlow basics, feature files, what is Gherkin, syntax, step definition, what do we call it? How do you run your test? So before I go ahead, so for those guys that are so new to software testing or to automation testing, so like I told you, and there are two ways, there are two parts. One is manual testing and one is automation testing in software testing. So manual testing is when you test this particular software manually. Most of us will be able to do that. And there's a career in that. And some people are known as a manual tester, like for almost 20 years. That's what they do. And they're actually making a lot of money through that, so without having to know automation. So I need to let you know that you might not need to do automation for you to strive in this particular line of business. So you might, if you focus on manual testing, you might also see some jobs that are only for manual testers. And if you also want to push yourself forward to us, of course you can as well do automation. But this particular course is going to be for automation. Automation is basically using a specialized tool to be able to do what a manual testing will be doing manually. So that is the purpose of this particular course. So, and yeah, in the third and fourth course, we're going to talk about WebDriver commands. How do you do browser commands? web elements, commands, find elements, how to do check boxes and radio boxes, drop down, and also data table. So moving on from there, we look at locators and XPath. We look at also switches and windows. We also look at page object frameworks as well. So these are how this particular lessons will be structured, right? So good thing is we're going to cover introduction here and we'll talk about the rest later. So, okay, introduction to software testing. Quickly, I'll go through introduction to software testing, but don't expect me to go into detail because I expect another tutor also to look into this. So this will be very, very fast, but please bear with me. So it's just going to, I will just sweep past some of them. So software testing, like I said, this is a life cycle, is a life cycle which encompasses static and dynamic. Static, most of us will have done a static testing before. Static testing is like, for instance, when you are doing your thesis, you've written everything and you ask some of your friends to review what you've written. So in that case, it is static because they are only reading what you've written. The same way also, you might have requirements. When I say requirement is basically the document that describe what an application should do. So in most cases, you would have system that they will provide a document that explains what the application should do. Like most of you, we are using Zoom right now. Zoom will have written how Zoom should work. And then someone can look into that document and see if it's actually right or wrong. So if you are just reading that document and establishing that, okay, it is fine or it's not fine, what you're doing is basically static testing because you are not actually executing the application or you are not running the application. You are not running Zoom. You are only reading or reviewing the document that explains how the application should work. So a good thing is like when you find an error or a hole in that particular document, it's easy to fix. What you just need to do is to erase it or delete it and write it again. Then it's easy to fix. But there's another one which is called dynamic, whereas it's like you would not execute the application and you would not be running it as you should run. So if you meet your requirement, you pass it. If it doesn't, you have to fail it. Yeah. So then why do we say testing is needed? So in nutshell, the simple answer is like you are testing if everything is okay with the application you are testing, right? You are testing that no one has made any mistake. You are testing if that product fits a purpose. That is the purpose of testing an application or a software, so to say. So, and yeah, some of the fundamentals of testing. So we'll be introducing these fundamentals for you right now. So I will just kind of gone through this a bit quickly. So I also said, okay, manual testing. So manual testing is you just perform this operation for manually actually. So you repeat them. So like, let's say you want to ensure that you can make a call using Zoom, or you can make a call using your phone, or you can make a call using an application, or you can set up a meeting using Skype, or you can set up a meeting using Teams. So you just kind of run it and then ensure that you are able to do it. You run it manually. So you are not using any tool for that. So whereas in automation testing, you are going to be using a tool to test it, to facilitate your testing. One example of that particular tool is Selenium. That's what we are going to go through in this particular training. And it's not all testing that you need to use automation for. Some of them is just in manual testing. So that's why I said, even though you might not get yourself confident with automation, but you can still do well in this line of business as a manual tester. So don't worry about that. So yeah, these are different tools that we have in manual testing. The list is endless. There are a lot of them actually. So you just need to pick the one that you're comfortable with, and then you look for roles in that area. So for this particular course, we are going to use Selenium and Visual Studio C#. So, and there is also SpecFlow, which I'm not seeing here actually. Yeah. So BDD, but with SpecFlow anyway. So it's going to be Selenium, BDD. We are going to use Visual Studio. We're going to use C#. So that is what we're going to focus on in this particular course. And Selenium is divided into two, right? You can have Selenium IDE and Selenium WebDriver. I actually crossed this one out because we are not going to focus on this because I thought this is basic. It's just record and play. Anybody can do this actually. So you just need to get an Selenium IDE and you record your transaction or your steps, and it just does that for you after you've placed the play. So, but in this particular, we're going to look at the one that you don't record, you don't play. So you need a bit of code, you need a bit of knowledge, you need some programming experience. But don't worry if you don't have any programming knowledge or experience before today. So you're going to pick that up as you go along. So we're going to teach you from basic as a framework. So that is what we are known for. So Selenium IDE, this is how it looks like actually. So you download the IDE on this particular link, and then you can add it to your Firefox. So then you record and play, and you got a screen like this that every control that you press, you'll be able to see your action recorded. And then after you finish, you can click on play, and then it will do the same action that you've done on the web page for you, right? So that is what this IDE is done. You can look into that, Google it out, and play with it if you want to. So, and yeah, this particular course, like I said, is basically for Selenium WebDriver. So it's the most popular and widely used tool in the market. And to be honest, it's maybe because it is open source and it's free, right? So, and it's widely used and it's been there for many years now. So it is a market leader, trust me. And so you can use it to even test complex applications and also even simple applications. So programming languages that you can use with Selenium is a lot actually. So you can use it with Java, Perl, JavaScript, PHP, C#, Ruby, and the like. So for this particular course, we are focusing on C# only. So the architecture of WebDriver is that you have your WebDriver. So that links to a driver actually. So you can decide to use whatever driver you want. So we can start with Chrome driver or a Firefox driver. You can use even IE driver, or even you can use other drivers as well. So, so once you have the driver that you have, so it's linked to your browsers. Depending on the driver that you want, if you are using Chrome driver, so it would open your Chrome browsers. So you need to have the driver in your code, and then also you need to install the right browsers as well for your system. Okay. All right, one question, can one learn Selenium IDE? Okay, can you please rewrite that again? So I don't understand that. So if you can rewrite what you said again, so please. Okay. All right, so now let's quickly go to testing roles. Actually, yeah. So in testing roles, like I said, you have manual testers and you have test automation engineers. So manual tester will take that particular application and they will test it manually. Automation tester will take that application and they will use a different tool to test it. So what a manual tester is doing manually without having to use any code at all, an automation tester will use it specialized to do it. And of course, you will have a lead and team lead. And you also have another role, which we call a performance tester. So this actually look at the non-functional part of the system, like how the system respond to load, how respond to peak, how in different ways like that. Okay, okay. The questions, can one be trained in both IDE and WebDriver? Yeah, I think the answer is yes. Yeah, you can do both, but this particular training is only for WebDriver. To be honest, it's my opinion. IDE is fading out, and it's not widely used again because everybody can do it actually, right? So, and that's where you will come for this training for as a, to learn about WebDriver. So ID just record, play, and then you play back. It's so easy. So it's not something that you need someone to teach you. You can just pick that up, to be honest. So yeah, of course, you can be trained on both of them. So, but I would say just stick with WebDriver because that is what most people will use right now. And okay. All right, cool. So the core responsibility of automation tester. So like manual tester, of course, you need to identify the test cases, or you need to identify the test cases that can be automated. Like I need to let you know, it's not all test cases that could be automated. So there's going to be some test cases that cannot be automated. So another question, what are headless browsers? Can I give examples? So okay, so it's not something that you will have seen before, right? Headless browsers is basic, is like when you are running your test. So like I said above here, okay, let me go back a bit. Okay, so like I said, yeah. So when you have your Firefox driver, right, it opens Firefox for you and you can see what it's doing, right? As it's clicking or browsing the site, entering some detail, you could see it actually. But in some cases, you may not want to see what it's doing, right? Because you don't care about that. So for that, you need to run it in headless. So that's what we call headless browsers. So it's actually still a browser, but you don't see what it's doing. Even though it's doing something, at the end, it just show you whether it passes or it fails. So that is you running that particular browser in headless mode, right? So whether it's Chrome driver, you can run it in headless mode. Whether it's Firefox, you can run it in headless mode, if that's okay. So yeah, so someone is asking if Selenium is better than Maven. So okay, so you are actually confusing these two actually. So Selenium is a tool for automation, but Maven is not actually. Maven, you use Maven with Java actually. So Maven is kind of a Java tool, right? So even if you're using Selenium with Java, you can use Selenium with Java, you still use it with Maven as well. So, but if you're using with C#, you don't need Maven because what you need is Visual Studio for you to be able to run that. So it's not like Selenium is better than Maven. So both of them, you can use it together depending on if you're using Java, you need to use Maven. But we are using C#, so we don't need Maven, if that's okay. But all this confusion we will clarify as you go along, if that's okay. Okay. All right, thanks, Arod. Okay. Okay. All right, configuring. Yeah, okay. So as well as a automation tester, you can actually also configure your test automation environment. So you can design your framework, you will implement your framework for that particular project, and also you will need to run it, you need to debug it, you need to also manage the changes and execute your regression suite. So that's what you would do. So, and there are different stages that you need to mention. So I've all highlighted these 6 stages. One, you determine the scope of your automation. You select the right tool for automation. You document your plan, actually your design strategies, and also you set up your test environment. you also create your development script, and then you generate your report. These are the steps that you will take, right? Some of the steps might have been taken for you if you are employed in a role, but these are the 6 stages that you might need to go through. Then what are the skills that you need as an automation tester or developer? So you will need programming, at least one programming language. So in this particular program, we are going to teach you C#. There will be a course generally for C# for those guys that don't know C# at all. So we will go through that with you. So I also encourage you to have strong problem solving skills. So maybe mathematical aptitude, because there might be sometimes there are mathematical modules as well. So our analytical skills is going to be important for you. So of course, if you like any other role, you might also need organization and time management skills as well. So and the likes. So, and one thing that I want to say also, attention to details is important as well. So in terms of salary wise, this is a snapshot from CW Jobs. CW Job actually says that the average salary of automation tester is 52,000. So, but that doesn't mean that you should be aiming for 52,000. So, some roles are less, some roles are more. So you can have some of the other roles as 30,000, 42,000, 62,000, even up to like 100, over 100,000. So depending on what you choose, and also depending on the industry. So another question, are you going to get material for this course? Of course, you are going to get materials for the course. So, and also this particular video is going to be available for you. And this is Glassdoor. So in Glassdoor, you can see this is a bit lower. So it said it's 40,000 on the average. And this is other one from Payscale. It says 35,000. So as you can see, so, and other courses and other discipline, test engineer, which is manual tester actually, and test analyst also, you can see their average pay 39, 29, and 27 and 31. So automation testers, you can see what they actually say. So, okay. So, and this is the salary scales for different IT roles. Actually, this is the test automation here. And in this particular IT job wash actually said is 55,000. So it's just kind of giving you a view expectation of what you should expect in terms of salary and skills. So, okay, I'm not going to cover all this in because I will expect the manual tester tutors to cover this, but I want to cover on these principles. So some people, I will tell you, when I first started my career as a tester, one thing that would ring the bell is like, as a tester, what will I do? So like I said, your role is just to take the application, take the documents and confirm that the document meet the expectation that you've seen from the behavior of the application. So, and now, what do I need to do? What are the principles that guide this operation? One is like, your role as a tester will be ensuring that that application meets requirements. So one way to do that is to show that they're bugged. But testing can show there's bug, but testing will not show that there is no bug, right? You cannot say that, oh, okay, now I can confirm that this particular application has no bugs. That is a fallacy. That is not a principle of software testing. Software testing shows that you can actually find bug. When you do find a bug, you can say there's a bug, but you cannot categorically say that this application has no bug at all. That's not the purpose of software testing. And you can not also say that you've tested this particular application exhaustively. You can say, oh, I've tested all the complex scenario, every scenario, unless it's a simple application that just kind of simple. But for some application, you cannot say that, yeah, I've actually tested all the combinations of inputs and outputs and everything. You cannot say that. So that's why we said exhaustive testing is impossible, right? So unless it is a trivial application that you can just kind of, yeah, like a walk in the park. So, and also it's advisable to test early. So that means when you are developing an application, you need to test. So which means that even the document that you are using to test or to develop the application should be tested, right? So which means that even before you start to develop the application, you can take that document and review it and ensure that that application meets what you are developing. And also you also have defect clustering. Defect clustering means that it's like if some part of your body is paining you, it's possible that you might see some around that area, there will be a lot of pains, right? The same way it in software testing, if you find a bug in one area, it's also possible that around that area, there might be number of bugs as well. So that's what they call bug clustering. The bug can cluster in some area. So that means when you find a bug in an area, you also need to look around that area to ensure that that area is free of bugs. So that's another thing. So, and also, we also see pesticide paradox. So in that case of you kind of repeat over and over, and you said, okay, I'm doing some testing, and you continue testing, repeating the same thing. Repeating the same thing will not make you to find new bugs. It's like doing the same thing and expecting a different result. So that also is not possible. So if you tested an application once and nothing has changed, there's no new feature, there's no new change, you don't need to test it again with the same test case or the same input, because nothing will change, nothing has changed, and then you get the same result. Only one time is okay. And also, testing is content driven. This is very, very important actually for me, because this is what makes you money actually. So some applications are safety critical than the other, and some applications are more complex than the other. So in some cases, the more complex the application is, the more uh, money they will pay you for it. That's why you see some roles that you've seen before, like if you work in a bank, it's different from when you work in a e-commerce site, or if you work in a public sector or something like that. So it is context driven. So you need to know if you work in, let's say, NHS medical, you need to know that, oh, life is at risk and everything. So this is very, very important. So the context that you are testing upon is very, very important. So like I said, this is also similar to testing to show the presence of default. You can also, absence of error is a fallacy. So you cannot say, oh, there's no error again, and this system is stable, and you cannot guarantee that. So that's also is another fallacy that you need to consider. So that is just the principle. So I will skip this one. So this will be covered in the automation, in the manual testing. So I will skip this one as well. So, okay. Okay, so another thing that I want to talk about is your techniques. This is very, very important. So while you are testing, there's some techniques that you need to use actually. So there's some techniques you need to use. Don't just kind of test, because when I started this particular introduction, I told you about when you bought a new phone, how you test it. So that is the ad hoc way. But when you come in, you become a software tester, you need to know techniques to test it. So this will be covered. There are different techniques. So like you can see in this side, you have static testing. So which is basically most of us, we have done reviews before. We've done informant inspections or walkthrough or different things. So those are static way of testing things actually. So, and also we have the dynamic way. So this is very, very important for us as a manual tester or automation tester to know some of these techniques actually. So one thing I can say, if you don't know any of the techniques, I would say at least know equivalent partitioning and boundary value, right? So what are these? Equivalent partitioning, I think we'll touch base on this, but because it's very, very important, because this is like you partitioning your test cases into equal parts, or partitioning and also ensuring that you pick your test case from a partition. So that you don't do the same thing all over and over again. So this we'll see cover in the course of the course. So this is just the introduction. So equivalent partition is very, very important. Another one is boundary value analysis. So what are these boundaries? You can say in some cases, some of these bugs will be at the boundary. Okay, let's say I've got an application that accepts 1 to 10. So let's quickly do this. So, and maybe just an ad hoc. Okay, so as a tester, let me test your memory. So I've got an application that accepts 1 to 10, right? So how many, okay, what do I need to supply in this application for me to test it? I've got an application, this application accepts 1 to 10. So I can either, if you say 1, you accept it, if you say 2, accept it, or 3, 4, or 5, or 6. So for me to test it, right, let's quickly do a quick random. So if I want to test it, what do I need to enter? So let's quickly do that as a quick exercise. So I've got an application that accepts 1 to 10, and I want to test it. Which input do I need to supply? So someone said 12, okay. So I said 12 inputs, you need 12 input. I'll say, okay, so, all right, so that is 12 inputs. So another person, how many inputs do I need to enter? So do I just say, enter only 1 input, one of them, or do I do 2, or do I do 10, or do I do 4, or do I do 3, or do I just put 1? Okay, someone said 3. Okay, all right, cool, that's brilliant. So, okay, someone said, okay, 0, 5, and 11. Okay, that's good. 0, 1. Okay, that's brilliant. So, yeah, I can see some people that already got, yeah. All right, cool, brilliant. So, okay, so 3, okay, 0, 9, and 11. That's brilliant. Thank you. So, okay, so this is becoming interesting. 2, 4, and yeah. So I can see even number in operation. That's brilliant. So yeah. So 10. Okay, that's good. So hey, this is interesting. That's why this particular techniques is very, very important. Is very, very important. Thank you so much, everyone. So 0, 5, and 11. So I can tell you. So I think someone already got the answer. I will tell you. So it's actually 0, 1. You don't need to actually, so to be honest, but it's fine. 0, 1, and 2, 9, 10, and 11. So just you need 6 inputs. So that is the answer. So thank you so much, Agafe. Agafe is the one that actually got it. So why is that? I'll quickly tell you, because this application accept 0 to 10. So you want to ensure that it's accepting numbers that you should accept, right? So you put 0, you know, it's not expected to accept 0. So you should give error, right? That is 1, 0. So, and you know that you should accept 1, right? Because that is the beginning, right? So, and you want to ensure that it's not only 1, it's able to accept the next one, right? So you put the next one, which is 2. So 1 is at the boundary and the 1 after it. So in every sense, you put 1 before, 1 after, and the other one. So that's where you have 0, 1, and 2. And as well, so at the end, you know, it should accept up to 10. So you would also want to try to put 0, 9, 10, and 11. So that's 1. So I think, yeah, Gerard is putting another twist to it, actually. So putting -1, which I think is also good, actually. So, oh, sorry. So I think I forgot 1 on that one. So yeah, so that's 1. Yeah, of course, you can also argue that you want to do -1. So if we now take Gerard off, we can say, okay, now you now also want to put maybe alphanumeric numbers or something like that. You can see how this thing will going to grow into that. So, but you won't be putting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Do you get it now? That is not right, because if you put 1, it's okay. But if you do 2 and 3 and 4, 2, 3, and 4 will behave the same way. You are not testing new things. You are only testing the same thing. So technically, so that's why you need to know these techniques that we're going to teach you. So in essence, so that's just the introduction of how to do proper testing. Okay, so it's going to be interesting, to be honest. So I just love this actually. So okay, all right, let's continue. So I'll just keep all this one. So okay, so there are also different things. Like I said before, I said that in the ad hoc one, you just take your document and you take your application or your tools and you start to test. But in other places, if you become a software tester, you don't take that application. You have to prepare some document. All right. So quickly, let me address Gerald. Gerald, you don't put hundreds, because if you do 100 and 111 is the same thing. Okay. So because that is out of the boundary, they will do the same thing. So in that instance, 100 is not part of that. So even if you say 10 and 100 is the same thing. So you only do 9, 10, and 100 at that boundary. Okay. All right. So in this one, so there's some documents that you have to provide. Some of the documents as a manual tester is test plan. So in a test plan, you have your test plan identifier, you have your introduction, your test items, features that you need to test, feature not to test. You will also, yeah. So yeah. Okay. Someone said, what does IE82? So this is a document, right? It's called Institute of Engineering. Oh yeah, basically, yeah. So they actually is electrical engineering or something like that. So I don't know that someone can help me with that acronym. So, but there is an institute. They have documents, different documents that they normally have. For test plan, it's called this particular name. So it's maybe it's done in 1998 and they call it 829. So it's the name of that particular document that you are going to use. In this particular document, it is used for your test plan. So as a manual tester, you might need to be doing this, but it's not, but right now in Agile, we don't normally use this again. So I just want to put it outside in case you go for any interview, they ask you what's the content of a test plan, you're able to say this is what goes in there. So, but if you don't understand what these acronyms are, you don't need to worry about that. So all this, like I said, this is just introduction. So it's going to be explained fully later as we go along. All right. So that takes me to, thank you so much, Agafe, Institute of Electrical Electronics Engineering. So that is the IEE1. So that is Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers. So, and that is their document. So it's, so if you can Google for that IEE 829, you see it as a document. You see the content of that document, so you can look into that. So, okay. All right, so we take a quick break actually. So if you have any question, you can ask now. So we're going to go through the article 1. So step to create your test framework. And so what do you expect to do as a software tester? How do you create your test framework? That's what we're going to do now. So I'll take a 5 minutes break. So we'll go from here, okay?